They say some places are cursed. Whether it's a house or an entire forest, there are some locations that seem to attract death. It's not like you can avoid death forever. It eventually finds us all. Still, some places seem to accelerate the process. Some say it's the environment. This is the story of the Watcher of Aokigahara. Others believe there's something supernatural at play. One thing's for sure, though. Once you enter these cursed places, you probably won't be coming back. It's a place shrouded in mystery, danger, and tragedy. It became known as the Suicide Forest after the Second World War, when soldiers would take their own lives rather than surrender. Since then, it's gained a reputation as a place where people go to die. The forest used to be a peaceful place where people could connect with nature. These days, it's become a place to avoid at all costs. Even the Japanese government has tried to stop people from entering the forest, but it hasn't worked. They hoped this would provide evidence that other humans, animals, or even ghosts were staying away from them. All they saw was darkness, but according to the man with the camera, he'd spotted something terrifying. One of the investigators kept hearing footsteps behind them, but there was no one there. They walked deeper and deeper into the darkness, trying to find some answers. As the night wore on, the forest seemed to close in around them, as if it were trying to trap them forever. They decided to move to a different part of the forest, hoping the strange occurrences would stop. However, that was when the temperature dropped dramatically. You might think it's just a bunch of spooky stories, but there's something truly eerie about the Suicide Forest. They planned to stay in the forest for 3 days to capture any paranormal activity. They searched for hours, but there was no sign of him. They found the camera lying on the ground, but it was too badly damaged to work. Perhaps the investigator was right when he said the figure was getting closer. Maybe he stumbled into the woods and never came out. Or maybe he was taken by whatever lurks in the shadows of Aokigahara. We may never know what happened to him, but one thing's for sure, the forest doesn't give up its secrets easily. The footage was recovered, though, and it showed the terrifying moment when the figure approached the investigator. But it didn't show what happened next. On the second day, they encountered even more strange occurrences. The camera started updating its GPS location, but it wasn't in the forest. It was in another forest on the other side of the country. Then it moved again, this time to a forest in America. They found a strange altar with candles and flowers, which they believed was a shrine to some of the people who had died in the forest. Suddenly, they heard a whisper in the wind that sent shivers down their spines. Despite the fear, they pressed on, determined to uncover the truth about the Suicide Forest. The dense trees and lack of sunlight create a creepy atmosphere that's hard to shake. You can almost feel the sadness and despair that hangs over the forest. It's hard to imagine anyone wanting to spend a night here, let alone an entire week. They struggled to keep their composure as the wind picked up and the trees swayed around them. He described it as a thin figure with 2 horns and a red face. It was hunched over with long arms and legs. But when they turned the camera to focus on the figure, it disappeared. The main investigator was sitting by the fire when he saw something strange approaching him. He described it as a tall figure with long arms and legs that was moving towards him through the darkness. The figure seemed to be getting closer and closer, and the investigator was too scared to move. Then, in a panic, he started to scream. The last thing he said was, "Something is standing still, but it's getting closer." Then the video cut out. What they didn't expect was for the devices to start picking up strange signals. They detected heat signatures that circled the group, but made no noise. The group set up camp and tried to relax, but the forest wouldn't let them. They heard footsteps, whispers, and even screams in the night. One of the investigators broke down and ran away from the forest, leaving the others to fend for themselves. The temperature dropped, and the trees seemed to whisper in the wind. The group stayed calm, though, determined to prove that the forest wasn't as dangerous as it seemed. Some believe the forest is cursed, and those who enter it are doomed to die. Maybe they're right. Many believe the forest has a dark energy that draws people towards it, leading them to take their own lives. It's not just the energy, however. That's exactly what one man did. But he didn't do it alone. They were spiritual investigators who often explored abandoned houses and other creepy locations. This time they ventured into the depths of Aokigahara. Their goal was to debunk the rumors of the forest being cursed. They wanted to show the world that there's nothing to fear in the suicide forest. He brought his camera crew with him to document the terrifying experience. There are other factors that contribute to the high number of deaths here. The forest is very secluded and dense, making it easy for someone to go missing without a trace. Plus, there are no emergency services available in the area. If someone does get hurt, they'll likely die within minutes. There have been thousands of deaths here, so many, in fact, that authorities don't even try to recover the bodies anymore. There are several reasons why someone might want to take their own life. In this case, the forest itself seemed to encourage it. We've told you about cursed houses before. Today, we're exploring a whole forest that seems to trap those who enter. Location: Aokigahara Forest, Japan. Aokigahara, also known as the Suicide Forest, is located at the northwest base of Mount Fuji in Japan. There are around 210,000 visitors to Mount Fuji each year. And while most enjoy the stunning scenery and hiking trails, some come with more sinister intentions. As you may expect, it can be difficult to get into the forest. After all, authorities do try to stop people from going in. So they've installed barriers and warning signs. They've even patrolled the area, but nothing seems to help. People still go missing in Aokigahara every year. It's believed that over 100 people have died here in the last decade alone. It wasn't always like this, however. Perhaps the best way to find out is to spend a night inside the forest and see what happens. It was November 2020 when the live stream began. The group consisted of 3 men and 1 woman. They had a lot of equipment with them, including infrared drones and sensors to detect any movement in the area. Then suddenly, one of the investigators stopped. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. He pointed to something behind the camera. After that, things started to get really scary. Despite the terrifying experience, the group continued to explore the forest. In the end, the investigators didn't find any answers, but they did capture something else, a terrifying presence that lurked in the shadows. But this group wasn't done yet. The 3rd day was the most terrifying of all. Then came the moment that would change everything. The next morning, the remaining members of the group went to find their friend, but he was nowhere to be seen. As if the story wasn't creepy enough already, it gets even more bizarre. Some believe that the forest itself is cursed, and those who enter it are doomed to die. Have you ever heard of the suicide forest? Would you ever dare visit the place? Let us know your thoughts.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support keeps this channel alive and lets us bring you even more creepy, mysterious content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.